What is up, guys? What is up, guys? Welcome back to the 8 Mil Productions podcast. So, for those that are watching this on YouTube, I know that this is all brand spanking new to you right now, that I'm all of a sudden having this podcast being featured on the 8 Mil Productions TV channel. But I decided today that I wanted to start publishing more consistent content on this channel by way of at the very least, uploading my podcast episodes on here as well as I do on Anchor, and then Anchor spits it out everywhere else. But for those that are just listening to the podcast, you're obviously not seeing me right now. But in today's episode, we're going to be talking about being a content creator is not all glitz and glamour, right? Because we know that it comes with some sacrifices, obviously. But the first thing that I wanted to discuss while speaking on this topic is that you're gonna go through some challenges. One of them being you have to consistently create high quality content. And notice I've said consistently because, we live in a day and age where we're constantly drowning in all of this content, right? And we're constantly having to, compete and to keep like showing up every single day. And we have to keep showing people like why we deserve their attention. Because essentially, like, people get so many they get peppered with so many notifications from Facebook and YouTube and iTunes podcasts, any platform you could think of. People get notifications from it. Hell, even text messages from their friends and family. And the first thing that they're thinking that when they see your content is, is this person worth my time? And two, is the content actually good? And this is not an easy feat. And this is like one of the reasons why, many content creators go through burnout is because, they're having to constantly, put in this time to create this content in the first place, right? Which is the second point that I want to discuss is that it's just time consuming, you know what I'm saying? Because, for one thing, you have to do the research on whatever topic you're trying to record for a YouTube video or podcast, for instance, like I'm doing right now, or for writing your blog post or whatever type of content creation you do. It's going to require you to do some sort of research, and then you have to go into the pre-production phase of it. Like, you got to figure out how your video is going to be shot, or how your podcast episode is going to be recorded, your blog post written. And then you have to get into, the structuring of the episodes. And that in and of itself, does take up a lot of your time. And then you also have to consider, how long it's going to be. You're going to have to consider like how it's going to be shot. You have to consider like when you're going to release it, right? And all that stuff. You're doing all of your planning and strategizing in the pre-production stage. And then when you get into production, you actually start, doing the damn thing and just building the content with the raw materials that you have. And then after you get finished creating the content, now you got to start editing it and refining everything in the content and make it all polished and nice and neat so that it's ready to be shipped out into the world. And then, you also have to put into consideration the titles of your YouTube videos and making your thumbnails fire AF. You know what I'm talking about? Because, that is the very bare minimum that it takes to make it on a YouTube platform. But if you do any other type of content creating, you don't have to create thumbnails. But, if you are a podcaster, you are going to have to create a compelling graphic or composite or picture that makes people want to click on your podcast and give you a listen. Because remember, we're visual creatures. We like things that look good. So just in general, no, before I get to that point, I'm gonna start going to the next point, which is, you're going to have to promote the hell out of the content once you do the planning for it in pre-production and make it in production and polish it up in post-production. And then you got to distribute it to all of your social media networks and just promote the hell out of it. And that is just the very bare minimum that you have to do in order to, kill it as a content creator, so to speak. And so, with all of that being said, you have to sacrifice a lot of time with friends and family and coworkers and such, and even from your studies if you want to make your content creating dreams into a full-time business. It is going to require you to sacrifice a lot of your time, your energy, and your money to have your business blow up. And unfortunately, a lot of, like I said, creators burn out and business owners as well because, they see just how taxing it is on the mind and the body. But, if you are really, really passionate and serious about this, you're going to find a way to recover from the burnout and you're not going to be affected by it as much as the average person. But I will cover the symptoms and all of that later on in the episode, just so you know. But anyways, the third reason why it is not all glitz and glamour is that it's risky and there's just no guarantees that you're going to make it. Even though platforms like YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and all of these other social media platforms are, more established and well known, you still got to bring your A game and you still have to keep on showing up every single day, because if not, then you're pretty much going to get left behind in the dust. And, unfortunately, not every single content creator makes their content creation dreams a full-time business. And that's like real tragic because so many of us creators put in a lot of time into making our content look good and well polished, only for it to come up short in the long run. And that is because, there's a heavy amount of traffic with all of these platforms such as YouTube. And even with podcasting, even though it is not as saturated as a platform like YouTube and Facebook and Instagram is, you're still going to have to bring your A game nonetheless. And you have to make your content as high quality as you can get it. And even if you do everything I've just said right, there's still no guarantees that you are going to make it. Hell, it may take somebody like, a couple years, or if you're fortunate enough, it may take you just a couple of months to start building a fan base. But I know for most people, it takes them for a couple of years, and some of them may not even make it at all. So before you consider going down this path of being a content creator because it quote unquote looks cool and is glamorous, you have to take these things into consideration on how much time it's going to take to actually build up some steam before you start blowing up. And so the fourth thing that I want to talk about is not everyone will accept your decision to be a content creator, right? Because simply put, some people, especially like your family members and friends that are well-meaning, they're just not gonna get you, right? And so you have to really take that into consideration. And some of them don't even care to, because many of them have never created a piece of content in their lives. And many of the elders in your family have never gotten the opportunity or even had the chance or even had the resources to be able to create content, right? And so you have to take that into consideration before you take their lack of support personally, because during their era, they didn't have access to as many tools as we have now. Like, they didn't have this type of microphone to be able to create high quality podcast or anything as such, because in order to get like a microphone like this back then, it probably costed like thousands of dollars. But now, like, this microphone that you're seeing me record my voice through is $236, right? Yeah, and it came with the mic stand and the microphone itself and everything else. But anyways, my point being is that we have access to so many tools to create the content that we want to create, but our parents and our grandparents didn't. So of course they're gonna look at us weird, like, what's YouTube? Like, why are you trying to be a YouTube? I don't understand it. But you got to remember, you can't take that personally because they never had that in their experience. And so unfortunately, they're not going to support you like you want them to. So you pretty much are going to have to go out there and get around people, preferably other creators who are in the same boat as you are, because they're creating content like you and they understand you, and you can congregate with them and exchange ideas and collaborate and things of that nature, and just build up that brotherly and sisterly bond with them, right? And so another very, 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 very important point that you must know before you get into content creating is that you are going to face a lot of constant criticism. And you're going to have to develop that thick skin to not let the opinions of other people get to you, because there is a lot of trolls on a lot of these video sharing and social media sites such as YouTube. And YouTube is very notorious for having a lot of trolls on it, because people will just say the most mean, nastiest, hurtful things mercilessly. You know what I'm saying? And so you can either easily let that tear you down and get you down in the dumps emotionally and let that lower your self-esteem, or you can do the work, the inner and the outer work necessary to avoid being affected as much. Not saying that it's never ever going to get to you, because you know, we still have feelings and emotions, and we still want, you know, people to support us and to understand us. Excuse me. But you know, unfortunately, not everybody is going to get you, and not everybody is going to be nice about it to you, because people will will mercilessly tear you down. And if you allow it to get to you, that can shut you down from ever creating content again. And you know, I hate to break it to you, but if you are easily swayed by other people's opinions of you and people not giving you the validation you want, then the content creation career path is just not for you. You know, you're gonna have to go into something else that is more conducive to who you are as a person, if you get easily shut out by the opinions of others, right? So the next point that I want to discuss is that you're going to have a lack of privacy, right? Because when you put yourself out here on all of these social media platforms and such, you are essentially, you know, asking for your privacy to be taken away. Not to say that you can't take precautions and adjust the privacy settings on your social media pages, but that's not going to be a smart idea if you do plan on making content creation a full-time business. You know, it's smarter and recommended that you keep all of your social media pages on public, so that more and more people can get to your content and be able to consume it, right? Because if you have your page on private, yet you're going down a path as a content creator, then it's just not going to make very much sense, and your fan base is not going to grow the way you want it to, because you're simply keeping yourself on private. But that doesn't mean that you can't protect your privacy though, right? And you're still in control of protecting your privacy no matter how big you get. However though, you know, people who are like huge YouTube stars and such don't really have any privacy, pretty much, because you know, they have millions of subscribers and they're constantly interacting with fans every day. And when they go out in public, people are constantly stopping them in the street, peppering them with questions, which will happen to you, by the way, as you get bigger and bigger and bigger. Like, people are going to try to pry into your private life. And this is where you have to set boundaries, right? Because being a content creator, being in this content creation arena, you can easily lose yourself if you're not careful. And so that's where setting boundaries comes in, and you have to let people know, like, look, don't ask me questions about where I live. Don't ask me questions about my romantic relationship, because I will not discuss that. Don't ask me questions about da 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 da. And you can just keep going and going from there and use your own creativity to discuss with people what you will not discuss on your social media platforms. You know what I'm saying? Because people will test you, so to speak. And in even extreme cases, many of these public figures that are huge on YouTube and other social media platforms have been stalked. And so that has given them like this extreme sense of paranoia and anxiety from wanting to ever like go out in public again. And that's why many of them have a mental breakdown because of the fame that they have. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And so, yeah. And so that's pretty much it in terms of, you know, the downsides of being a content creator. And so another thing that I do want to discuss is that, you know, is burnout, which I've been talking about on this podcast video / audio recording thus far. And basically the definition of burnout is the extinction of motivation or incentive, especially where one's devotion to a cause or relationship fails to produce the desired results. So in other words, you know, content creators burn out because, you know, they're not making as much money as they want to make, or they're not having as big of a fan base as they want to be having at the moment because, you know, wait, that didn't even make any sense. So let me rephrase that. So in other words, they're basically burnt out because they're not making as much money as they want to make or have the huge fan base that they want to be having. And this may be one of the contributing factors as to why they don't really feel as motivated to create anymore. And the fact of the matter is that, you know, that comes with the territory, like especially at the beginning stages. Like you're just not going to, you know, you're not going to be where you want to be immediately unless, you know, you get super lucky and your video or a podcast episode or whatever piece of content you create goes viral overnight, which rarely happens, by the way. But if it does happen to you, props to you. I hope that you do something positive with your fame and use it for great instead of pushing all of this BS like many of these influencers do. But for most of us, you know, it takes a while for us to build this stuff up. And it's easy for us to burn out and to lose motivation for creating. But you have to think about like why you started creating content in the first place, because that is going to ground you as you go down this content creation journey and you go through all these trials and tribulations, because they're gonna come no matter what. So you might as well prepare for them now. And you know, one of the symptoms of burnout is that, you know, you feel alienated from your work activity. So basically what that says is that, you know, you're viewing your job or dream career as being a content creator as stressful, and what else did I write? And frustrating, right? Because, you know, you may not be where you want to be as a content creator. And especially with the rise of YouTubers coming out about them being burnt out, this is a huge problem, and they commonly feel frustrated. And it's sad because these people are very talented creators, such as like PewDiePie and Alicia Marie, Elle Mills, and Michelle Phan, and Matt Lees. I think that's how you pronounce the guy's last name. But they've all came out about this simply because of the fact that the YouTube algorithm rewards you the more you keep creating, on top of, you know, these entertainment hungry fans who keep constantly peppering them, you know, with questions and asking them like, when are you gonna release your next video? When are you gonna do this? When are you gonna do that? And they constantly just feel the weight of the world on their shoulders for having to constantly create this content just to entertain people. And I've noticed that, with a lot of entertainment type of YouTubers, they tend to burn out the most because, people just love entertainment. They cannot get enough of it. People love to distract themselves with entertainment instead of dealing with their issues and trauma head on. And so the only thing that these YouTubers are doing is feeding this bottomless pit within these people because of the simple fact that they do not want to do the inner work to rise above that and to heal their trauma so they can realize their wholeness and completeness within themselves. I mean, I know I'm getting worked up about this, but I'm just really, really passionate about, this personal development stuff. Even though, you're watching this on 8 Mil Productions TV, it's time for you to hear this in case you didn't know. But for those that watch my videos on my other YouTube channel, Spiritual Intellectual 777, and for the listeners on my podcast, on the 8 Mil Productions podcast, already know that I talk about this stuff anyway. So I'm like, it's time for me to come out and say this stuff on this particular channel right here. You know what I'm saying? And because of that, a lot of these big time creators feel numb about their work. Like they don't feel the passion that they once felt. And so they just feel as if it's just another job to do. It's like, oh man, I gotta go ahead and I gotta create a video today, even though I don't feel like it. And there's just no sense of passion and excitement anymore. And you can tell, right? And this is a sad, sad thing. And so another symptom of burnout is emotional exhaustion. And so at the beginning of, this symptom, you're going to start feeling, this chronic fatigue. Like no matter how many hours you sleep, you still don't feel well rested and you don't even feel like getting up out of bed in the morning, and if this keeps on persisting, you're just going to feel very, very apathetic. And, you're just going to feel this sense of dread every time you wake up. You're not going to even be excited about life in general anymore because you're just so burnt out with everything, right? And so the next symptom is insomnia. And at the beginning stages, you're just going to have trouble falling asleep like once or twice a week, right? But for the rest of the week, for the most part, you're able to get at least some decent amount of sleep in. But if this keeps on persisting, it's just going to be pretty much every damn night to where, you feel this sense of exhaustion, yet you can't go to sleep because you're constantly worrying and have this tension and anxiety and stress inside of you that's keep you up at all night. So if you're experiencing, any of these symptoms in general, please do know that you need to start taking care of yourself more and that you need to start seeking out a life coach. As a matter of fact, I know a life coach that goes by the name of Virginia Francisco. I'll leave a link to her social media in the description below so that you can go ahead and get some help and get healed from your core issues that's causing you to feel burnt out in the first place. Because I do care about you guys. I want you guys to be well. I want you guys to be at the top of your game, and I want you guys to feel motivated to keep doing this every day because you say that you love this, and I want you to keep on going with your talented self because, we need more examples like you in the world of people who follow their dreams. And another symptom of burnout is, you have this forgetfulness. And one of the mild symptoms within the symptom is that you just have this mild lapses in focus. Like, you may start going hard at a task for like a minute or two. And then the next minute you're scrolling on social media, you're playing a video game, you're watching a bunch of like trash videos on YouTube. And I'm not talking about trash videos in terms of like calling people's other other people's content trash, but I'm just talking about like trash TV type of content, like fight videos and cat videos and such. And you just keep distracting yourself more and more and more because, you're dealing with this burnout. And if this keeps on persisting, then you're just gonna completely forget about doing these important tasks that you deem as important, and the workload is just gonna pile up more and more and more, which is gonna further cause more anxiety and more insomnia and more stress. And by the way, for all of you guys that are watching the video, I hope that you're enjoying the video thus far. I know that this is a pretty lengthy video for you to watch, so I hope that you're enjoying yourself. You got you a drink of water, you got you some popcorn, you're sitting back and relaxing and enjoying this podcast video / episode. You know what I'm saying? And I hope for the listener's sake that y'all are having fun too. And so another symptom of burnout is increased illness. And you'll notice that you'll start getting sicker easier because of the fact that your body is just so drained and so worn out from all this fatigue and this anxiety and stress and worry. And so so don't be surprised if you start catching the flu or catching a cold or something because, you're going through this intense burnout. And that's because it's a lack of creators taking care of themselves. And so, let that be a sign from your body that you need to further take care of yourself. Take a break from creating content if you need to. Your audience will be all right. You know what I'm saying? You need to take care of yourself first, and so that you can show up and be your very best as a content creator, as opposed to just running on fumes like I talked about a couple podcast episodes ago. And do not ask me, I do not know the specific podcast episode. You know what I'm saying? So you're just gonna have to do some digging on your own. And so another symptom that I want to discuss is that, like I said, you'll feel anxiety, and at the early stages, you're gonna experience, mild worry and tension and edginess and all that stuff. But if this keeps on persisting, it'll turn into full-blown anxiety, and it's gonna wreak havoc in your your professional and your private life. And you're not going to be able to create as higher quality of content as you want to be creating. And even your relationships with other people will suffer because of your anxiety. And people are just gonna be like, what's going on with you? Like, why are you acting this way? Like, why are you so irritable? Because they notice that something within you has changed, and they can't quite put their finger on it because you won't open up to them in the first place and tell them what's going on. And you need to do that if you're going through a lot of stuff on the inside. You can't just hold that stuff in, like that girl Elle Mills did, because, she waited till it got so bad to where she just made a whole video to where she just let it all out. She just sang, and pardon my French as I say this, this is my fucking dream. I can't, why am I so fucking unhappy? And, it's just things like that. It's just that anxiety and that stress has built up to the point where she just exploded, and it just took the internet by storm. And so I was just like, well, damn. Like, you let it get so bad that you just exploded and showed people how you truly felt because you've kept on this facade for so long. And that's what, a lot of content creators do, is that they keep on this facade, and then eventually it gets to a point where the mask just slips right off and you start seeing them for who they truly are and how they truly feel. And then the audience is left dumbfounded, and even some of the people they care about, they're just like, I thought this person was happy and enjoying themselves because they were doing what they love. But the fact of the matter is that they were going through a lot of demons that you didn't even know about behind the scenes until now, until like when they exposed it and they actually showed you how they truly felt. And now, you know, you're trying to figure out like how to help them out because they have not opened up to you. And it leaves, you know, the people that care about them the most behind the scenes upset because, you know, they never communicated how they were truly feeling in the first place. They didn't get help, you know? And that's very, very, very unhealthy. So if the moment you start feeling out of whack, start talking to somebody that you trust, you know, be open and honest from the get-go so that this type of stuff does not happen, right? And the last symptom that I want to talk about is, you know, if you let it get that bad by suppressing it, depression. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like a lot of content creators are low-key depressed because, you know, of the algorithm changes and also feeling like, you know, they have to constantly create for their audience. But the core of all of the burnout and all of the depression and stuff is the creators feeling like they are not enough. And so I'm gonna go ahead and recommend this to you right now. And I'm gonna challenge you. This is a challenge to you as a content creator. This is a 30-day, you know, challenge that I'm currently doing myself. And I challenge you for 30 days straight, no matter what circumstance you're going through, no matter if you don't even feel like it at all, for 30 days to watch a Marissa Peer video. Look her up on YouTube, watch her videos every day for 30 days. You don't even have to just watch it one video a day by her. You don't have to watch like 10 to 50 videos a day unless you choose to, obviously. But just do one for the sake of easing yourself into this challenge, right? For a whole month. You just watch her videos, do all of the exercises, and see how much empowered and how much enough you feel afterwards. And I want you to repeat after me if you're, you know, as you're listening / watching this episode, to say, I am enough. I was always enough. And I will continue to be enough. And I want you to say that to yourself a total of 3 times. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna do it with you. I am enough. I was always enough. And I will always be enough. Let's say it one more time. I am enough. I will always be enough. Let me restart that. I am enough. I was always enough. And I will always be enough. How much better do you feel now? If you're watching the video version of this, I want you to put in the comment section how much better you feel after saying that to yourself a total of 3 times. And if you're listening to this on Anchor, make sure to send me a voice clip. You know what I'm saying? And I still challenge you for 30 days to watch a Marissa Peer video for 30 days straight. Being consistent, no excuses. You doing this for a whole month. As a matter of fact, this is like day 5 or day 6 out of day 30th. So I've been consistently doing this for almost a week now, and I feel damn good after just these few days alone. I can only imagine how much more empowered I will feel after this month is over. And so another YouTuber that I want to delve deep with that has experienced burnout was this YouTuber named Michelle Phan. And she's been like this particular YouTube star has been creating content on a platform since 2006. So this was around the time where YouTube was in its infancy stages, where there was no big time content creators like PewDiePie and her and the rest of them that we all know. So she's been doing this for over 13 years. And she's one of them content creators that retired from the YouTube platform entirely. And the reason being is because she said that being a full-time YouTuber took a toll on her, and that she just simply didn't have the passion to create on YouTube anymore. And so she decided to just like leave altogether. Now, I don't know much about the girl. I'm just giving you straight what I've researched about her. But, you know, it just goes to show you that, you know, it's not what it's all cracked up to be. Yeah, on the surface, it looks like it because, you know, a lot of these content creators are killing the game. They're making millions of dollars. You know, they're having all of these brand sponsorships and hell, some of them are even brand ambassadors. But behind the scenes, many of these creators are suffering, like I said. And so with that being said, I'm going to conclude this episode by saying that get into content creating for the right reasons. Get into it because you genuinely love creating content, and not because you're just trying to make some money or get all these brand deals and such, because you're going to burn out very, very quickly and not last long in this game. So with that being said, I hope that you guys have enjoyed the podcast episode. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell every time you get notified every week that I upload podcast on this YouTube channel. And, you know, if you're just listening to the audio version only, make sure to go ahead to subscribe and or favorite the podcast as well. You know, and also, like, if you're brand spanking new, period, I just want to welcome you to the 8 Mil Productions family. I hope that you've gained a lot of knowledge, wisdom, and insight from this episode. And, you know, if you're a content creator listening to this, I hope that this has given you some insight and some motivation to keep on going, and to also take care of yourself first and foremost, because you come first, right? You, yes, you that's watching this, you come first, not the audience. And so, you know, also, if you are a supporter of the 8 Mil Productions brand, make sure to go click the link in the description and the show notes below to go ahead and cop you some merch from the 8 Mil Productions store. Cop your merch right now. Go click that link, purchase you a t-shirt or hoodie or something, and show your support for the 8 Mil Productions brand. And make sure to share this video and or podcast audio with all your friends and family that are watching this, and who, especially ones who are content creators, so that, you know, they can be aware of some of, you know, the cons that comes with this, and also to take care of themselves. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to smash the hell out of that like button, and make sure to go ahead and click the Amazon links below if you're curious to know which gear that I've used to record, you know, this particular podcast episode. You know, and I'm just going to keep it a stack with you and tell you that, you know, each time you buy something from those affiliate links, I do get a tenth of whatever, you know, you buy from those Amazon links. So just saying. And as always, peace in and out with the highest vibes, and I'll catch you guys next week.